So we're headed down to see my buddy Nick Pancheau. Nick is working on a table, and the great thing I love about Nick is that he's a modern woodworker. He uses everything from hand tools to CNC machines, and he's completely open to using everything. He's got a table, a side table that he's working on. It's modern design, and he did a texture on it with a CNC machine that his dad has in his shop. So we're gonna go down, visit Nick, and take a look at that table and see what he's done. I'm pretty anxious to share it with you guys. Okay, so we're visiting Nick Pancheau, and he's got a modern, contemporary table, and I'm gonna have him tell you about it. And what I love about it, especially, is that he's added a texture that he used a CNC to generate. So tell us about it, Nick.
Yeah, so this is a piece for a client who really liked some live edge stuff that I was working on. This is a piece of live edge boxelder that I harvested from my backyard here about 5 years ago, and had my local sawmill guy cutting slabs for me. Then we dried it here. So it's from an artistic standpoint, it's a further exploration of some of these really simple geometry pieces that I've been working on. And
these are the ones you've been selling,
right?
At like the summer fair and stuff that
right.
When I visited you.
Exactly,
okay.
Exactly. So this one's kind of an exploration of this, very natural live edge language interfacing with some really not natural CNC and computer generated language. That's cut by a computer from digital models that I'm modeling. I was inspired, by some of the work that Jeff Martin Joinery is doing with actually putting a whole tabletop into a CNC gantry, and using that to cut out some of these patterns and stitch these tabletops together that way. And I thought,
well, so Jeff Martin Joinery, I hadn't heard of him until you mentioned him. So
so
we'll leave the link to that, Jeff Martin Joinery, so we can check out some of the inspiration. Okay.
So when I saw that, I was like, oh. The light bulb went on. I could like put a whole piece of furniture into this CNC gantry that my dad's been building.
Cool.
And we could start to do some explorations that way. So that's kind of how.
So your dad built the CNC.
Yeah.
So basically, creativity's running in the family here.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. He loves the technical aspects of putting these things together.
Okay.
And I love trying to figure out some really cool things that we can do with them.
Yeah.
So here this is modeled. This surface, this kind of rolling and pitching surface.
Yeah. That's pretty cool, because it's like an optical illusion to me.
Right. Yeah. It's a 1/4 inch of depth that we're actually removing with the router.
Okay.
And it's a 1/4 inch cove bit using a 3/16 inch step.
Okay.
Each time. So we're overcutting the previous by a little bit each time. And it's the texture itself I think is really fascinating, because it's kind of a piece that's about these artifacts that are left over from both the digital modeling process, because it's modeled in SketchUp.
Okay.
And SketchUp isn't true NURBS modeling, so it's interpolating curved surfaces into triangles.
Okay.
So we get this, these great triangle patterns as an artifact of when you export that file from SketchUp to an STL, the stereolithography file.
Okay.
From SketchUp, and then bring it in. And actually machine it, you're getting that curvilinear surface. Mm-hmm. The artifact of that is this triangular surface that you're getting. And
so that's kind of what's interesting to me, is that basically what most people would find as a fault with using the SketchUp, you're exploiting that for artistic creativity.
Right, yeah. I know that it's going to do that when it exports, and I can take a look at that surface and say, yeah, it's going to break this up into these forms, and I really like that. So I'm trying to use that to my advantage, and then also I'm using the router bit, just in a single pass. I could have gone back and done a finishing pass that that would have made this surface completely smooth and faceted. Yeah. But I was really interested in leaving these router lines and kind of what additional visual interest that gave to the piece.
Well, I think some of the things that are neat about what you're doing overall is, number one, you commented on exploring design. Right. So kind of a lesson for the viewers. explore design, push your limits, and find out what works, what doesn't. Because you've learned a lot of lessons off this piece, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
I think what's really neat is the contrast that you're throwing out there. You have a contemporary piece that has natural live edge, basically contrasted against a machine surface.
Right.
The digital against the natural, which I think is really a pretty neat interpretation. So now, what's on the other side? You're just leaving that smooth?
Yeah, you know, I'm really torn about whether I should. This particular tree has got really beautiful figure all throughout the tree.
Yeah, it does.
And I have some of that preserved here as useful surface on the top of the table. And I think I'd really like to leave some of that, you know, beautiful grain on this side of the table exposed. As,
yeah.
You know, now it's like a Jekyll and Hyde,
right,
you know,
right.
kind of table.
Yeah.
So,
I think it's actually adds a nice, you know, it sort of ends up being an asymmetrical design in effect, because you got texture
right, yeah.
on the side. You got, and of course that you have a usable smooth surface, a circle on the top, and then one smooth side. So I think that works out real well.
Yeah. What I love about a piece like this is, I mean, there's really no precedent. There's not a style that's holding me to say,
right,
it has to be, you know, when you're done with it, it has to look like this, or it has to fit into this category. There's really no category that this fits into. It's a piece for an artist that's intended to be an artistic expression of some thoughts and ideas, and you know, that's what we're getting here. We've got, you know, some basic proportion things, you know, that help hold everything together. Yeah. But in terms of how the whole thing is detailed and how some of these, you know, pieces resolve themselves, it's really up to me and what feels best for how the pieces come together.
Well, that's cool. I think one of the things, you know, you're pushing the envelope a little bit. It's studio furniture. Yeah. So basically, you have a little bit more free reign with the design. Yet at the same time, you know, it's not a free for all, because that design can fail. And actually, you're producing some pretty neat little tables, and I love how you've taken basically your design from a simple table to, you know, some of them having the live edge on them, to now this one's gone even further. So it's nice to see you explore the design, and it's one of the ways to push your creativity and continue to push it on out there. So excellent.
Good deal.
Well, real quick, what's your finish going to be? What's your choice finish?
I'll be probably spraying lacquer on this one, just because of the nature of these grooves.
Okay. Any stain or dye?
Be no stain, no dye on this one.
So
just be the clear lacquer.
And what's the wood again?
Boxelder.
Boxelder. Okay.
It's in the maple family.
Oh, okay. Because this piece of wood actually looks very similar. It looks like it could be maple. It actually looks a lot like poplar, with a lot of the color tones in it. But then again, you know, by the way that it feels and the hardness of it, it does more feel like maple.
Now, there's some these really persistent yellow streaks that run through the wood, and my experience with those, you know, they're almost, you know, they're on the verge of like neon yellow.
Yeah.
Right
Well,
now.
and that's why I thought when I initially saw it, thought it was poplar because of the coloring in it.
Right, and those they'll pop when I put lacquer on it.
Yeah.
And then over time, those have had a tendency to brown just a little bit. You know,
okay. Yeah. I was kind of wondering over time how that ages out.
It's really a pretty yellow wood overall.
It is actually, yeah. Well, cool. Well, thanks for sharing that with us. I appreciate it.
Thanks for stopping by.
So yeah, well, there's a lot of lessons there for you guys. Push your boundaries. Also, check out, what was the one that inspired you?
Yeah, Jeff Martin Joinery.
Jeff Martin Joinery. I've never heard of him. I'm gonna have to run home now and look him up on the on the internet. And when I do, I'll post the link in the video and in the show notes too. Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Take care.
All right.
And then this guy's yellow dovetail. That's Lee Nielsen.
That looks nice. How's that feel?
Oh, feels
What's
really
the deal,
good.
man?
Feels really good. Well, I'm not gonna. It's sharp.
Yeah.
So I make it.
Oh, did you grind it off?
Yeah, I ground.
Oh,
ground
okay.
it off, yeah.
Oh, I see. I thought it chipped, and I'm like, what are you doing to your tools? Well, they should be used.
They should
so,
be. Yeah,
you
exactly.
know. Actually, I like how rigid.
This
it
one
is.
That's a really great little saw.
Nice.
I like that one a lot.